we got an iPhone 12 mini here, and got nothing coming out over here on the right grill. The left grill's a microphone, and also the microphone was quiet up top. So far what I've done was I just took an electronic toothbrush, some alcohol, and scrubbed the top speaker and the bottom speaker. The bottom is completely nothing, hear nothing out of it. So we're gonna look inside and see what's going on. The microphone, when he was on speakerphone, was very quiet. So I'm assuming that it had too much dirt or whatnot. The top speaker does sound a little crackly. He says that he plays a lot of podcasts and whatnot. So if you guys play a lot of music and whatnot on your phone, you could blow your speakers. I always recommend earphones or like external speakers, and not to constantly use these little tiny speakers in these phones. So what we're gonna do is probably replace the loudspeaker, and I'll talk to the customer and see if we're gonna need to replace that top ear speaker. So right now I just have it around 194, close to 200. I wouldn't go over 90 degrees Celsius for the screen because we don't want to burn it. And we're just working on getting it hot to the touch where you can barely handle it on the iPhone 12 mini here. All right, after waiting a couple of minutes, it should be hot to the touch. Your phone should definitely be off, and then you should be loosening those screws. But what I was saying is Amazon or also Andrew Gadget's great places to purchase parts, in the link in the description. And it's always helpful if you do that for us, because that's how we pay the bills for YouTube here. I actually don't edit the videos myself. I have a couple editors that help me do the videos, as I'm too busy inside my office here. Okay, so now that we cut the adhesive, just run some 99% alcohol along the side here. It's gonna help loosen it up. Just a drizzle. One more time. We'll go along here. Okay, and we're going to take a stronger pry tool, get our tool in there. Cut along the frame. Now, alcohol will help loosen up things and make this thing a lot easier to open. Okay. Next, this side here. Just run it back and forth there. Then get our tool in there, our iseasmo tool, not too deep. We're just doing some twisting and prying. If it's warm enough and you put enough alcohol, you're not going to be breaking your screen. It's funny, I haven't had any iPhone 12 minis for screen repair yet, but I've had other issues come up. Just interesting how that works. All right, so what we're doing is pulling this direction and releasing some of the frame away from the adhesive, and then we just pull up and twist. Same thing, pull this direction, pull up, and then twist up. As you can see, all the adhesive, there's even more adhesive here. So you can take some scissors, or you can take a sharp tool and cut that adhesive out of the way. Comes right up. Screen kind of wants to stay up by itself, but if it doesn't, you can put like a rag next to it or something. Since we don't really need to take off the screen, we're just investigating the speaker here. I don't see any reason to, you can come around here and look if you want, I don't care. I don't see any reason. Oh, no, you're fine. I don't see any reason to take away the screen off of this or even disconnect the battery at this moment. I don't see any water damage or anything on the actual speaker itself. So it looks really good here. Since I forgot to actually get a speaker for this customer, we're going to go ahead and take it off of this other one. I'm waiting for the other one to cool down so I can show you guys the screen still functions. But at the moment here, we're just going to steal it from this other iPhone 12 mini that is functioning as, like I said, I've accidentally forgot to order the parts. Oops. Okay, so this one is cooled down. For the most part, it's a little hot, toasty. Oh man, screen is busted. That's how sensitive they are. Even with the extra effort that I put into it, I still managed to break the screen. Man, that is a bummer. On the next one here, it could have been the screen protector that caused the not enough heat to go through. It was giving me a little bit of problem. So we're going to actually show the next screen coming out of this phone. And I'm going to increase the temperature to 210 degrees Fahrenheit. I've done several of the 12s and 13s already with no problems, but usually I rip off the temper glass. I don't know why I didn't do it on this one. So about 98 to 100 degrees Celsius is what I'm recommending to increase the temperature to. Maybe these little ones are harder to get, or like I said, the temper glass got to it, unfortunately. So since we have to replace the screen while I'm waiting for that one to warm up, we're going to go ahead and take off the screw here. And at this moment, there's still no transferring of the all the LCD data over to on the iPhone 12 at the moment, unfortunately. So I just removed this bracket and removed all those screws. Some are going to be 00, some are tri-wing. We're just going to disconnect this with a plastic tool. Okay, and then we're going to put the other Apple screen on here, and we're going to transfer this as well. You'll lose Face ID if you don't transfer this whole entire thing. There is ways on older iPhones to desolder the ear speaker and solder a new one on without losing the Face ID. So we're gonna find out real quick if he wants to replace the ear speaker. So we are going to replace the ear speaker, so I'll show you guys how to replace the ear speaker, hopefully without losing Face ID. We'll go dive deep into this and figure it out. Okay, so this is nice and warm to the touch. I already removed the screen, or the envelope screws. Oh yeah, so if you're not a professional doing this, there's a high chance of breaking that screen. So obviously, even me being a professional, it can still happen. I haven't done any 12 mini screen separations as far as I remember, maybe one. but they should go exactly like the other 12s. Some people will use suction cups and whatnot. I don't use those, because typically when you replace the screen, it's already cracked, so the suction cup won't work. Okay, still nice and hot to the touch, so this should definitely separate without a problem. Go ahead and insert my tool here. It's certainly give me hell. But more alcohol there did help. Go slowly around here as I get my tool, but remember not to go too deep. Because that OLED display is right there. Obviously some cables too. Just going to pull on it a little bit here. And keep on using that alcohol to loosen it up. There we go. Comes off way easier that way. So more alcohol is going to help the situation out when it comes to this device here. And of course we're going to check it real quick and make sure. But 99% alcohol, guys. Voila. Unfortunately, that was a costly mistake, as these Apple parts are like $200, if not a little bit more. I think they were like $300 for a while. They're just stupid expensive. So we're going to also have to remove all these screws, so grabbing our tri-point and taking all these screws out. Go ahead and disconnect the battery and screen cable. Okay, we're going to steal this speaker out of here. Transfer it directly over to the new one here. Since I already forgot which display was which, I'm just gonna go ahead and plug this back in here and test it real quick. See which one this one was. This is probably his because it's a little dirtier. Sometimes your phone won't turn back on unless you plug it in. There we go. And since we're already turning it on here, we're gonna just test his speakers. Okay, and we're gonna take these two screws off and start with warming up the new screen. Because it has the ear speaker we want on it. So we're just going to go ahead and put this on our heater. What's your password?
It is 2462.
The ambient sensor is not plugged in right now, so that's why it's super dim. Maybe. That's annoying. Well, let's play some Spotify real quick. Speaker sounds really good, but we don't have anything on the display, and this was my backup one. So let's double check and make sure everything's plugged in, because we want to make sure this screen is good here. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the battery and then plug in the sensors. I'm pretty sure Face ID is not going to work unless you swap that around. We'll find out right now. I've never done it on the 12. And the screen comes right up as soon as you replace that sensor or put that sensor back on. That's crazy. Even when I turned it up max brightness. All right, so music's really loud. Now we're gonna see if we can replace the ear speaker without losing Face ID. But I think we still got the non-genuine display message. That's just gonna happen unless you desolder a chip off and swap those, and that's a nightmare. It's a good chance of breaking your screen as well. But there is a way, and I do plan on having that method more relatively available, but this encrypted data would need to be swapped. Okay, anyways, back to the screen repair. We're gonna go ahead and disconnect this, the power there, and disconnect our cable. Okay, and this is his phone, good screen. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna mark good here, his here, and then we'll try to mark the original so we know which cable we're working with. Okay, next is we're going to set this one on the heater, the good one, and we're going to go ahead and start dismantling and this is his actual part. So what we're going to do is just write H for his. Take our tweezers, get right under there and lift up. If you warmed it up enough, this should come out really nice and easy. And there's one little spot right here. It's your microphone. All right. Same process, just loosening that up. So this is his, okay, and that has a bad speaker, and this is their good speaker. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to, it looks like from what I can see here, is there's two little solder points right here. we can desolder. See what's under here. Gotta loosen that up right here. This little sensor here. It's probably important. Careful, there's a lot of delicate cables right here. Just delicate. You want to be super careful. And we're just going to loosen that up with some solder flux and my soldering iron. Pretty simple. I know it's not the best exact setup, but I don't feel like setting up the camera for 2 little solder points. Being a little lazy. If you don't know how to solder, you probably shouldn't do it, but it's really basic. You do need some tools. So there's 2 little white spots right here on the speaker, and just put just a tad little flux, a smear on there. Nothing too special. Get our soldering iron, just warm it up. Little base thing would help to hold your, or somebody else holding it for you. As I lift up. Man. I'm not using the exact right tip that I want to. Let's try something else here. More flakes. Or use our heater with 350 degrees Celsius and heat is what we're going to use. Just makes it quicker because I don't know where the wicks is and I don't want to find it. Wick. There we go. Much easier than this stupid soldering iron. Okay, so this is the bad speaker. That piece in there would need to be replaced. If you want to dive further, I don't have those pieces to do that with. Clean it off with some alcohol. And transfer the sensor. All right, I'm gonna get a little solder paste. Put a little bit on the actual speaker itself. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay. You got a little flux right here as well. Just on the underneath side. Oh, did I do that right? No, it's that direction. Okay. Wait until it turns to beads. good for the most part, but we'll just touch it up here with the soldering iron. Might recommend a little bit less heat to prevent it from melting a little bit. Okay, I'm sure there's easier ways to do that, but what's done is done. Okay, this is his. That's his original. This is the good one. Now we're going to be able to put all this together. Start off with putting their microphone in first, and then I don't know what that is, some kind of sensor. And also I don't know what that sensor is. One of them is probably a flood sensor, another one's a ambient sensor, one of them is microphone. There's just a lot of components to iPhones. Tri-point on the left side, Phillips on the right. Like I said earlier, if you're really good, you can swap the Apple chips around and then get rid of the important message that it can't verify its original display. But you really, that's a lot of effort and work and risk just to get rid of a message. If we do find a speedier way to do it, it can be done in 10 minutes, then I'd consider it. I think the providers of the parts would need to provide the new one without the chip on it already. That would be helpful. And then we just have to take off one chip and reball it. Oh, you know what? Before we put the brackets on and everything else, let's just make sure there's no Face ID symbol and the ear speaker works. That's always a good thing, no Face ID message. Sounds amazing. So, just to show you guys that I didn't mess it up, I will call this his phone and show you it operates. Can't be showing you his phone number, guys. I mind showing you my phone number though. As you guys can hear, it sounds amazing. Okay, so now I remember his microphone not sounding very good on speakerphone, so we're going to test that. Test. 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 Kind of sucks with the echoing, but it works. And then for Face ID, we'll double check with the customer, make sure it's functioning, but you can go to Face ID. Oh, you didn't even have it set up. But it's scanning. But he never set it up. That's funny. But yeah, it's working. All right. Anyways, let's go ahead and put our bracket in. This bracket needs to be under, then you screw it down. Kind of tricky there. And yes, since I ruined his old screen, I do plan on giving him a free screen protector for those who are commenting below. Even though his was cracked a little bit. Where is it? I think the screen protector is what caused our unfortunate demise with our separation. And it's a lesson learned that I will make sure I take off every time. So I use T7000. It's a black glue that helps seal the phone. A lot of it becomes pretty useless after pulling it apart with alcohol. So if you want a good seal on your phone, make sure you do this. Just carefully clip your new screen back in, or your original. Put pressure down on it for about 30 seconds and make sure you have a really good seal. You can also go, if you have nothing to scratch it up with, which I don't, you can put it flat down and then put pressure that way too. Then you have a nice even pressure. Okay, now we're going to take our pentalobe driver here, put our bottom screws in. Now you may wonder, how much did this cost the customer? We actually charged $160 to do that. 100 for the initial and then 60 for the ear speaker. But he got all original parts. And he was actually the winner on this one because, unfortunately, I broke a very expensive Apple display. So, that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed my detailed video on how to replace the loudspeaker and ear speaker on an iPhone 12 mini. More detailed videos coming in the future, and thanks for watching.